Good to see you in the flesh. It's been a while. Hi everyone, Scott and Jeff from Condo Culture. We're your two founders and here today with a market update over the last 6-8 months. So, interesting timing right now to kind of do a market update here. Last time we put one of these out that you and I were speaking in, it was pre-COVID. So obviously a lot has changed since January, February of this year. So great to kind of get your opinion on kind of where we are and we can both kind of provide some commentary. You more market as a whole, I can talk about some of the new development and we can chat about it from there.
Yeah, so I think, a lot has obviously changed since we had our first kind of round of shutdowns at the end of March. The amazing thing at that point was that the first part of March was so strong that we actually didn't even see a dip in transactions through March. It was actually stronger than the previous March in 2019. And we really didn't see the effect of that shutdown and that slowdown in transaction activity until April. At that point, I think we were down at its peak, down 66% in transactional volume. And then the following months, we saw a little bit of a gradual recovery through May and June. But then all of a sudden it really started to spike and we were actually started to achieve higher numbers than the previous year, even amidst the pandemic. So prices were increasing and total number of purchases or purchaser demand had increased over 2019.
April was definitely quiet on the new development side, and that's kind of when, in May we started receiving phone calls from some of these purchasers that had transacted in March that had decided not to go forward, and they were saying, how do I get my unit back? Like, I want it. Mm-hmm. And to me, it was kind of a confidence in the market that we weren't necessarily expecting, to be honest, but to have purchasers that had made that purchase decision change their mind, whether it was kind of through the cooling period or whatever, it shifted into, I need my unit back and I have a friend that wants to buy one too.
So April actually was the only month this year where the average sale price as a percentage of the list price was below 100. The average price was being sold over the list price, right? And so you saw that range from anywhere between like 101, 102%, I think, to upwards of 106% or so for this past September.
I think what we saw is, I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the construction world and what was going to happen. So projects like, the station parks of the world that were imminent to go to construction, I think a lot of people were saying, hey, there's no way these are going to move forward. And I think, a big confidence piece is when a lot of these works continued unscathed.
As we look at this market continuing to appreciate, the one concern that always comes up is affordability, right?
Yep.
And making sure that supply actually gets built and gets into the market is key in making sure things do stay affordable.
And I think the other big trend, and this has been on the radar now for a little while, but I think the whole COVID world has changed it even more. I think individuals living in the GTA are reconsidering the appeal of living in small space in a big city. And I think you have seen purchasers make the decision to look to suburban GTA markets and or markets like Kitchener-Waterloo.
You're seeing a lot of negative press about the Toronto market right now and different segments of the Toronto market retracting, whether that's in sales volume or pricing. But that's not necessarily playing out here. And it's part of that is that trend we're talking about is you've got this westward movement of people moving from downtown or the GTA as a whole, moving west to cities like Kitchener-Waterloo.
The main point that I think may be worth noting too about our market, so Toronto has major vacancy right now in the rental segment. A big part of that, Adam Sparks was saying, is foreign students. Mm-hmm. They're not signing leases, they're not here. Yeah. So that smaller stock, which has been reserved for rentals, for the most part, they're not end users living there, have major vacancy, which people are putting them back on the market or putting them on the market. And long story short is there's too much supply. You can get a 500 square foot unit for what you used to be able to get a 400 square foot unit for. Mm-hmm. So people are upgrading. Yeah. Whereas if you look at the segment 500 square feet and above, it's super strong in Toronto.
Well, we don't really have a lot of sub 500 square feet units. We've got a few.
Our market's always been resistant to studios and been resistant to smaller floor plans. That's been something that never has taken off. I think there's examples of them locally that are good, but it's never been a major segment. And as a result, our product categories right now fit into exactly where Toronto's growth is right now, is our unit mix to a T in an optimal sense. Yeah. So I think where all of our units, when you look at one bedrooms that are in the 500 square foot range, you can have a true one bedroom.
Well, I think too, a lot of people with with COVID, our wonder maybe is how is that affecting condos, right? But what's interesting is we're seeing an incredible amount of demand across both the rental and the sales side of the market. On the sales side, it's the fastest growing segment of the local market.
And it is affordability, Jeff. That's the big piece. What you may start seeing is, not necessarily more 1-bedroom plus dens, but looking at the 1-bedroom layouts and starting to say, okay, how can I get a work niche in there so you can kind of have a small nook, if you will, that can accommodate a desk and a work from home office. And I think then even further to that, how is the amenity programming stronger and can promote more of a safe work from home environment?
As the prices go up locally, as a result of some of that increasing demand and increasing demand locally, the market becomes less affordable here, right? I know that's a real concern for people, but I think that's where condos are such a great opportunity, right? Condos are the most affordable segment of the market. And so trying to ensure that we're bringing more supply to that side of the market actually keeps housing affordable.
And I think more supply and better floor plans is always the game. So I think it's constantly raising the bar on floor plan layout and utilization and looking at outdoor space. That is one piece that has come up now.
Absolutely.
And we're working on a new project launching next year that all of the balconies are going to be 8 feet deep, which is kind of more of a livable outdoor space. So I do think you're going to see some trends in that area where people are probably using their balconies now more than they ever have.
Yeah, a lot of people were using them to check their weather. Maybe I think everybody's actually going to use them now.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's worth noting, Jeff, just talking about rentals and kind of the market in Kitchener-Waterloo. There's a huge demand on the tenant side. And then during COVID, as you know, we did a virtual leasing program and leased over 100 units at Circa at rents that would be the absolute top of the market right now.
Well, that was one of the things that was so amazing to me. We went into COVID and we had these units at Circa that were about to be released for rental. I think we did over 135 lease transactions, and a lot of those were done virtually, taking people through via Google Meet, through a virtual tour online with a live conoculture representative, and actually showing them the space that way.
That's the other question. We had a couple launches that happened in the marketplace during COVID, but again, looked at doing the sales cycle completely virtually. So, and what I can say is that it went off phenomenally well. And it was actually amazing to see, a lot of consumers actually preferred it. And they felt like they had better access versus kind of waiting in line for a sales center or trying to get an appointment in a sales center. It felt as though they had immediate access to be able to make a decision and to be able to interact and get the information they needed. So definitely something I think if we talk about kind of the evolution of the market through COVID, I think if anything, the fact that that technology has really kind of, been advanced and the comfort of purchasers or buyers and sellers adapting to that technology piece.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the real positive things that will come out of this. Whether in real estate or outside, there's lots of those good examples whereby things are changing for the better because we've been forced to change and adapt to the situation. And I think, who wants to stand out in front of a sales center for 2 hours or 3 hours before launch to make sure they've got their spot in line, right? There's got to be a better way. And I definitely think that provides a better customer experience overall.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us on the market update today. Hope you guys enjoyed it and took a lot away from it. If you do have questions, reach out to our team at any time. Happy to update you on any of the new projects that are coming or just general sense of what's going on in the market.
Thanks, guys.